Jack gripped the steering wheel as he left Littlefeather behind, eager to put the town in his rearview mirror for a while. It had become all too much. The craziness, the people, the monsters. He met his own hazel eyes in the rearview mirror and noticed a crease had formed between his brows sometime recently. Yeah, he'd had a wrinkle there, but this was different. It was like the Grand Canyon had opened up in order to divide his eyebrows. Frustrated, he dropped his eyes back to the road. Sighing, he realized that he had considered his friends and his neighbors monsters. Miranda would remind him that most of them were ordinary people. They were the same people they had always been, but that wasn't quite true. Because now he knew they were different. Vampires, werewolves, all of that stuff that his parents had always assured him weren't real when he was a little boy, come to find out was. It was real. And he'd seen it all with his own two eyes. And the worst part was, the vampires and werewolves weren't even the scary ones. No, they were big-ass spiders on top of everything else. And those things, the Jurogumo, made themselves look human in order to trick people and lure them into their web or den or something. And then that whole situation with the dreaming and the mirror and almost losing Miranda. It had been too much. Way too much. Joanne had mixed up a tea for him to drink to help with his nerves and the nightmares, but everywhere he turned there were reminders of everything that happened, and it felt like it was driving him insane. So now he was on the road, taking a short sabbatical as it were, heading for the Ozarks of Missouri to his uncle's cabin so that he could take a breath and not think about the supernatural stuff for a while. He had called Uncle Al to ask if he could stay there and to make sure that no one else was going to be using it. His uncle had assured him it would be free for him to use, if maybe a little dusty. Nobody had used the cabin in close to a decade, Al had said, but it was there and waiting. He told him where the key was stashed and instructed him to enjoy himself. Well, Jack was sure going to try. As he followed the two-lane highway, his mind drifted to Miranda. Beautiful, mysterious Miranda. That beautiful blonde hair and a tough but funny personality. She had been the one to accidentally show him this whole other world that had been under his nose his entire life. Although she had done her best to keep him blind to it for a time, she come sweeping into his life, turning his otherwise average world on its head. He still wasn't sure if he was happy for the revelation, but his heart had latched onto her from the moment he'd laid eyes on her and hadn't let go since. She was like a breath of fresh air in a world that had gone stagnant so long ago. But could he really get past everything? That's what he was hoping to find out after a little vacation. Reaching for the stereo, he searched for a local rock station so that he could drown out his thoughts. The point of this trip was to clear his head, not think about everything he was leaving behind. He cast a glance over to the passenger seat, his mind making him see her seated across from him with Hank, her corgi on her lap. He had known he would miss them, but he needed this. He needed to get away from all the faces that had looked at him and lied, somewhere that everyone wasn't looking at him as if they were expecting him to freak out or blow a fuse. And that was the problem, wasn't it? He felt like the entire town had treated him like a fool, and now they were looking at him differently, as if he couldn't handle the truth and would run away. Isn't this what you're doing? A voice in the back of his mind whispered. But he shook his head and cleared the thought away. He wasn't running. He just needed some time to process it all, mainly the deception and the lies. The way they had hidden it all from him so easily, like a child who blindly believes everything their parent says. Because no matter what, that's what they had all done. Miranda, Eve, Bonnie, hell, even Joanne had lied right to his face. Pretty much every paranormal being in Littlefeather had looked at him and kept it all from him. That was something that just wasn't sitting right with him, no matter what he did to try to make it. So here he was, running away from it all. I'm not running, he murmured, but even to his own ears the words sounded hollow. They sounded like the words of a man lying to himself. Clearing his throat, he decided to put all that behind him for now as he put his foot down on the gas pedal of his old Bronco and let the horsepower carry him further from home.